Okay, so Rehlko, you've fairly recently, I think, provided data center operator data 4 with an environmental life cycle impact information to do with its mission critical generators. That's I think the 45 KD series. And this is to enable the organization, i.e. data 4, to make better informed low carbon sustainability decisions. So that's quite a long sort of preamble, but the question is, I guess, what's the background? How did yourselves and data 4 engage in the first place?
Yeah, so correct. We have provided information on the environmental impact over the life cycle through the PEP ecopassport, which is an environmental declaration. So for several years, we have been receiving requests for customer about the environmental impact of our product. And we are also working internally about the carbon impact of our product. So we were looking for a solution or a way to provide this information to customers, such as Data4, to highlight the impact of our product and all the solutions we are currently implementing into a product like the HVO or the conscious care program. So we know we have this point of reference with the PEP ecopassport about the impact of our product, and it will help us in the future to promote the product and to promote all the solutions that we will market.
Okay, yeah. So as you mentioned the PEP ecopassport a couple of times. So I guess what you've done, you've published the information as part of, I think you say it's the first certified environmental declaration for a generating set in mission critical markets, and that's the PEP passport. So for those that don't know, sorry, the PEP eco passport, it'd be just good to understand a little bit of what the eco passport is and why it is potentially so important.
Yeah, so publishing a PEP eco passport is quite a long journey. It's about 1 year's work. So the PEP ecopassport is an environmental declaration for electrical equipment only. So it provides all the information of the environmental impact of a product throughout its life cycle. So from the extraction of the raw materials like steel, copper, aluminium, and so on, to the manufacturing of a subpart like alternator, engine, to the end of life, so the installation, the use phase, the dismantling, and the recycling of the equipment. So this environmental declaration, according to the PEP ecopassport standard, is based on the ISO standard. So it is based on the global standard. So this first is important, I believe, since it is the first time that we publish it for a generating set. And we are the first manufacturer to publish transparently, because it is an open document, freely available on the web, of the environmental impact of our product.
Okay, and for data 4, I believe their engagement with you, if you like, is part of their overall goal, which they want to slash the carbon footprint. And I think they characterize that as per megawatt of data center capacity by 38% between 2021 and 2030. And therefore, they were needing transparency from all their critical equipment suppliers. So, yeah, it'd just be good to understand, is that something that is unusual in that they're asking for that, or are more and more data center owners, operators demanding this kind of documentation to help them with their sustainability goals?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we have more and more requests for that kind of information. But as you say, it is a transparent way. So to say that for the data center customer like Data4, and to say that you have reduced or to want to reduce the carbon footprint, first you have to evaluate the current impact of the product. So it is what we are doing today with the PEP ecopassport, to say, okay, today this is the impact of an emergency standby generator. And then when you know the impact, when the customer make the calculation of the total impact of his facilities, you need the data from the suppliers. So that's why at Rehlko, we have decided to share this information transparently through the PEP ecopassport, which is a fully transparent document, fully available. And we want to work with this customer, with all customers, to provide solution to reduce even more the carbon footprint of our product, so the carbon footprint of their facilities.
Okay, and from your own perspective, what you've been doing is using a life cycle assessment methodology. You've collected a large quantity of data. I think you said it takes you a year to prepare the parts, but I think you've been potentially collecting data over a longer period of time on the KD series of generators, and then that's been verified by third parties as part of the PEP declaration. Is that how you've done it? Yeah, just give us a few more details if you can.
Yeah. So to perform the PEP ecopassport, we have collected a lot of data. The data is the key for that kind of documents. So we have collected all the data to produce the environmental declaration for not just for the KD series, for the K175 series, so which are our biggest generators from 2000 kVA to 4500 kVA. So we have collected this data on all the components that we are using to manufacture an emergency standby generator, for the alternator, for the engine, for the radiator, for the base frame, and the battery, circuit breaker, and so on. So we have collected all the data, and we had a look to what type of material is used for the alternator, what type of material is used for the genset, for the generator. And then we have looked to where it is manufactured, what is the carbon emission of factory where it is manufactured. And then we have a look of here, all the equipment are then assembled here in our facilities in Brest. So we have collected all the information of the facilities, so which are the scope 1 and 2 emission of the facilities to calculate the impact of the manufacturing. And also we have collected impact related to the shipping of the equipment, because everything is manufactured in Brest, but then it is shipped all over Europe, Africa or Middle East, even in Southeast Asia. And then we have a look also on all the maintenance cycle, use phases. So all the parts that we have to replace with the life cycle, all the fluid like oil, coolant that we have to change regularly. And all this information were then fed into a life cycle analysis software to calculate the environmental footprint of standby generator sets. And the PEP ecopassport, which is important in environmental declaration, is it gives not only the carbon impact, which have an impact on the climate change, but it gives an environmental impact. So on the climate, on the health of the people, on the water, on the sea level, on the resources. So there are about 25 parameters, 25 impacts for an environmental product declaration.
Okay, I'm just wondering, does it also cover sort of end of life? What happens to the item of equipment once it's no longer required, in terms of how it can be recycled, broken down? What happens to the end, or is that a sort of separate calculation, just as a matter of interest?
Yes, it is an information that you can find into the environmental declaration. So there is the recycling part. Currently, there is no dedicated a way to recycle an emergency standby generator. So we have considered in general the recycling of all the steel, all the copper, and so on. And what we saw inside the PEP ecopassport is at the end, most of the materials of emergency standby generator is made of steel, aluminium, and copper. So which are material which are quite easily to recycle, to make again a new generator set, or to make a bicycle, or to make something else.
Okay, and in terms of just back to data for, and I guess other data center operators, I'm sure you interact with, is the requiring of these PEP declarations is not just for yourselves with the gensets, but also other major equipment suppliers. And I'm guessing that it's mainly because, if you like, all companies will say they're green or sustainable, etc., but they perhaps don't have the evidence to back it up. So this is a way of really proving to people like Data4 that you are doing what you might say you're doing. You can actually prove that is the case. Is that the important aspect?
Yes, absolutely. So Data4 is pushing hard all the supplier to get environmental data from the supplier. They can get a lot of data for all electrical equipment because, as for example in Europe, it is something mandatory. Schneider Electric have all the PEP for all their products because it is something mandatory in Europe, but it is not yet for gensets. So that's why it is important for us to be first to publish this information before any regulation, which and make it mandatory. So yes, it is very important to get this data for them. I don't know if it's mandatory for all their suppliers, but if they want to claim that they will reduce their carbon footprint, they have to be able to evaluate the carbon footprint of the product they have purchased. So it is what they can do now while they're buying a Rehlko genset.
Okay, and for yourselves, for Rehlko, I'm imagining that being so early in the data center industry to prepare a ecopassport when it comes to generators, that gives you something of a significant point of differentiation when you're talking to either existing customers or potential. So I guess how much of a market advantage do you think it is for yourselves at this moment in time?
Yeah, to be the first is really a key point of differentiation with competitors. In the past, we used to compare the genset with the power, the size, the sound emission, the exhaust emission, and so on. And now we are adding a new parameter, which is the environmental impact of the product. And having this environmental declaration is also a key point. It allows to compare with other technology of backup emergency. So it allows to compare with other technology like batteries or fuel cells operating with hydrogen, which have also an environmental impact. So it allows to compare several technology to see which is the most sustainable technology. And we look forward to the publication of the environmental declaration of such technology and competitors to move forward and to offer a new solution to reduce the environmental impact.
And I'm guessing as well that maybe another benefit of getting involved in terms of this environmental declaration process is that it's helping you, if you like, understand your own processes, if you like, that life cycle, and potentially that you can achieve further carbon footprint reduction when it comes to the generators. Is that something else that is good to have for yourselves?
Yes, of course. Yes. Having made this life cycle analysis is beneficial for everyone. It's beneficial for our customer, of course, to get the environmental of the product they purchase, but it is also beneficial for us to identify into the life cycle of the product, which are the greatest impact on the global warming. Just for example, on the genset, we have a heater for the engine. The heater is used to warm the engine so that it starts quickly and in a reliable way to rescue the plant or the data center. And the carbon impact of the heater is very significant since the heater operates all the day long, all the year for 40 years. So at the end, it is a lot of electricity coming from the grid to feed this heater. So if we replace this heater by a heat plate exchanger to recover the hot water from the data center, it's a very huge benefit. Or if we use another technology to heat the engine, it will also help to reduce the environmental impact. So, and it will be also not only a gain in terms of environment, to reduce the carbon emission because you use less electricity, but it is also a financial gain in terms of operation because at the end, you use less electricity coming from the grid. So thanks to the environmental product declaration, we can give the percentage of reduction in the full life cycle of all the solutions that we will market in 2025, which are requested by our customer. So in 2025, we'll continue to develop a new offer, part of our conscious care program, to reduce even more the carbon footprint. And I hope that we will meet again to talk about that and the solution that we will offer, and also the other PEP ecopassport, because we will extend that kind of documents for other products in Rehlko.
Oh, that's great, because I was going to actually ask, my final question was going to be, what can we expect from yourselves in 2025? So you've beat me to that, and yes, it would be great to obviously follow up as and when there are other announcements. But at least for now, Pierre-Adrien, I really enjoyed chatting to you, and thanks for giving us some time. Much appreciated.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.